Call the meeting to order. I want to welcome everybody here, including Mr. Lohan. We have the agenda in front of us, but before that, I'd like to call on Councillor Funk to bring the opening, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we all just finished celebrating the last long weekend of the summer, and I celebrated mine at the Filipino Newcomers Barbecue. And it was really neat to be there. There was about 100 people there. About 50 or 60 of them were brand new newcomers within the last year to Steinbach. So many of my highlights were spent sitting across the table from them and hearing their stories. And hearing their stories of coming to a land that promised prosperity and opportunity. And I heard a story of one couple who he had come on a work visa 4 years ago, and then now he could go back and get her, and finally come 4 years later, after being apart for 4 years, they could be together as a family here in Steinbach, and he's working in the hog industry, and they just feel that they are in the lap of luxury and the land of milk and honey. But one of the things that stuck out to me the most was I talked to a lady who'd been here for 15 years already, and she told her story of how she came here. She was one of the first Filipinos to immigrate to this area. And she had a very, very hard time fitting in, hard time just getting used to everything, and she found herself being a single mom, and that brought some challenges too. But she said one thing she realized, or that helped her the most through a hard time, was the community, and how friendly the community was. And as she would go shopping, or she'd be out and about, she would get smiles, and she would be said hi to, and if she needed some help. And she said that helped her the most. And so what she was doing was encouraging us all to do that as we see newcomers. And she did say, she was talking to her own people, and she said, come on guys, it's easy. We're all brown, you know. But even for us, it's easy for us to see newcomers to our area. And it just made me think that we need to be more open, more friendly, continue that, reach out the arm of brotherhood, brothership, and welcome all the newcomers to our area.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Funk. Council, we have the agenda in front of us. You had a chance to review it. Can I have a motion to accept that, please? Councillor Swagstra, moved by Councillor Siemens. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. We have the minutes in front of us from August 21st. This is on page 1. You've had a chance to review those. Can I have someone move approval, please? Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Penner. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. There is no business arising from the minutes. Seeing none, we will now move to the accounts payable in the back of the book. This is 9A. Council, you've had a chance to review this. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Councillor Funk, second by Councillor Fair. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. We have 9B. We have bylaw 2106. This is on page 26. Mr. Warkentine, I'll ask you to introduce this, please.
This is bylaw 2106, which is for purposes of the Heritage Parkway public drain opening. There is a drain that exists on this parcel of land presently, with a number of changes that are ongoing with the current owner. The owner has agreed to a purchase or acquisition of that parcel of land by consent, and the drain that exists on the property will be formalized into a public drain registered at the property registry. Recommendation is for City Council to give this bylaw first and second reading.
Thank you. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra.
I'll move first reading.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Fair, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you stated, this takes an existing drain and makes it official that it's a public drain, and that makes sense in terms of the planning process.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Fair.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, through you, administration.
Go ahead.
When I drove by there, it seems that the south portion of that is kind of in where the building is. Is that correct, or is it just beside the building?
Mr. Warkentine.
That is correct. There is a sketch of the proposed plan on page 29. It at least the area in question that is to be dedicated as the public drain is, or at least on the original sketch, was shown as a darker black line. It's a little hard to see, but towards the south end, the public road that is running from side to side, or in this case east to west, is Lowen Boulevard. There is a slight jog in that public drain at the south end, and that does accommodate for the building that is nearby.
All right. Does that answer your question, Councillor Fair? Thank you. Any further discussion? Anything in closing? Call for the question. All those in favor of first reading? Carried. Is there a motion for second reading? Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Fair. Any discussion?
Nothing further.
Anything from council? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. We have the 9C, the auditor appointments on page 30. Mr. Workendine, is there anything to add?
We, just for background information, normally the city does entertain proposals from its auditor for 3-year appointments, but due to personal reasons and the current status of the of change within the firm, our current auditors, Chambers Fraser Professional Accountants, is only prepared to propose a 1-year renewal. And the information is provided on page 30 of the package. Recommendation is that council approve the auditor appointment for 2018.
Thank you. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Siemens?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Swagstra? Go ahead, Mr. Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Cooper has been doing our audits here at the City of Steinbach for many years. Although we don't all enjoy listening to him and going to those meetings. They are important meetings as we talk about the finances, but it is a good, he's done very well for the city. The recommendation is that we move forward with, to continue to use Mr. Cooper and his firm.
Thank you. Further discussion?
I look forward to the next audit presentation.
Anything further from council? Anything in closing? Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. We'll now move to the public hearing, and this is 6A. We're going to start with Variation V-2018-19. This is in regards to 434 Hespeler Street South. Starting on page 6 for council. There will be an overhead over top. I'm going to close the council meeting, open the public hearing. Mr. Workendine.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is application for variance file V-2018-19, property with civic address 434 Hespeler Street South. The owner of the property, owners of the property are John and Catherine Malinsky. The applicant for the variance is, the applicants for the variance are Heinrich and Olga Lowen. Purpose of the variance is to allow an overall site area of 6.4 acres, whereas a minimum of 20 acres is required in the A agricultural zone. And the reasoning being the applicant wishes to bring the property into compliance with respect to a building addition that they are interested in pursuing. Recommendation, the notices as required under the Planning Act have been issued. Recommendation from administration is that City Council approve the application for the variance, subject to any new information that may be provided at the public hearing. I would, however, wish to add, with respect to the recommendation by the city engineer on page 8, that the approval also be subject to the receipt of a septic field inspection report, just to verify the condition of the existing field on site.
Thank you. We do have the applicant here, or someone wishing to represent the applicant. Is that correct? Thank you. Is there anyone here wishing to object or have any questions on this file? Is there anyone here wishing to object or have any questions on this file? Seeing none, does the applicant or applicant's representative wish to speak? Are there any questions for the applicant from council? Seeing none? You have a question for the applicant? Okay, then just wait.
Well, maybe administration.
Okay, through it to administration, all right.
Okay, yes, Mr. Mayor, through you. In the event that the septic field would not pass, does this come back to us then, or what happens?
It would not come back if the field is failing. Then the requirements would be that the property owner must connect to city services or install a holding tank.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Do the services go by the door so that he could tie into it?
At this point, the services do not run down Hespeler.
Thank you. All right, one final option for the applicant. Does the applicant wish to speak or have any comments? Okay, I'll get you to take the podium and state your name.
John Walensky, owner of 434 Hespeler.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
just a question of the need to connect to the city sewer when there's so many other properties going down Hespeler. Is everyone required, or wouldn't it be more prudent to wait until everyone gets connected up and instead of just?
All right, that question is for administration, so I'll direct it to administration. Mr. Workentine, through me, you can answer that.
Yes, generally, if there are residential properties such as this one that currently are serviced by a septic field, if those fields are in good repair and are functional, they are permitted to continue. If the field fails and the field requires replacement, City of Steinbach official community plan policies do not permit the replacement of existing septic fields. And that then would prompt the need for either connection to city sewer or the installation of a holding tank.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
What if there's no sewer in front of the place?
I believe what has been stated is that the option is to either put a holding tank in or to bring the sewer to the front of the property.
Okay, so then the option is a holding tank because there is no sewer, correct?
That would be correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, I will close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstrom.
I will make the motion to approve the variance.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Fair, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As has been stated, we have a situation here where you have an existing property that where they wish to add on to their home, and because of the fact that the land parcel is smaller than the minimum 20 acres that be required in this particular zoning, which is agricultural, it doesn't currently comply. It's one of those pre-existing non-conforming, and in order to bring it into compliance, we need to approve this variance. And we have not heard any concerns raised by anyone. Our staff are recommending approval, so I think it makes sense to approve and allow them to expand their home.
Thank you. Councillor Fair.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think basically it's the city administration is recommending that we approve it, and I'm glad that we were able to bear out so that the applicant is more knowledgeable on what is available or not there. So,
Thank you. Further discussion? Anything in closing? Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We will now move to 6B, and that's the Conditional Use CU-2018-05. This is on page 15. This is in regards to 352 Main Street. I'll close the council meeting, open the public hearing. Mr. Workentine.
This application for conditional use, file CU-2018-05, as you mentioned, for 352 Main Street in Steinbach. The owner of the property is Jack Kaler and Shear Effects, Inc. The applicant for the conditional use is Sinex Manufacturing, Inc. Purpose of the application is to allow a digital advertising sign to be located on the north side of the existing building on site. Notices as required under the Planning Act have been issued. There is no written correspondence on file. Overall, there are two existing digital signs that are present on Steinbach's Main Street within the Central Business District. Those are considered accessory signs, with the changeable copy on the signs being for purposes of businesses that they are located on. This application is unique, and it is requesting approval not only for the digital sign, but also to be used as a sign for third-party advertising. Should council feel that that is appropriate for the location within the city's central business district, then council could proceed to approve the application.
Thank you. We do have the applicant or someone wishing to represent the applicant here today. Is there anyone here wishing to object or have any questions on this file? Is there anyone here wishing to object or have any questions? Seeing none, does the applicant wish to speak? All right, are there any questions for the applicant? Yes, I'll ask, please state your name and your address.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Phil Rempel. I'm with Sinex Manufacturing.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Penner.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I have a question about the location of the sign. It appears to me that it's on the north wall, correct?
Facing
And I
the
saw
parking lot.
today the other piece there that you already have. I'm wondering why this place for a digital sign? I'm trying to understand because it appears that at some point the parking lot could be developed for commercial use and then the sign would be ineffective.
It's a wonderful location for that sign. If you go to the front of the building, I don't know if you're aware of all the trees in front. It would be very, very hard, like a tough visibility, which is why, and they did have a reader board, like a manual reader board prior.
Thank you. Further questions?
Yes, another question, please. So the advertising on this digital sign will not only be for the salon, correct? It'll be for any other people that wish to advertise on it?
That's open. If someone wants to advertise in there, he wants to have the right to. If he wants to advertise his suppliers, that he has the right to advertise his suppliers on there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none, then I will close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Fair.
I'll move to approve it.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Siemens. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, these signs are popping up all over the city, and I think it's a very good medium of advertising, and it'll give them visibility. I can see with the trees there that it wouldn't be of much value to put it in front of the building, so I don't think they have any option but to put it where it is.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councillor Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This changes our Main Street focus a little bit. This is a digital sign, which we have two others on Main Street, which we heard, one at the Credit Union, the other with Fairway Ford, that are accessory to those buildings. This changes the focus for our Main Street. This, by approving this, we will start to begin the process of allowing third-party advertising on our Main Street. Currently, there's no third-party advertising on our Main Street, including on buildings that aren't associated with that building. So we do have other signs in Steinbach that we have approved where there's third party. There's a Patterson sign, the large one on the corner of Brant and 52, and there is also the Schinkel Properties sign, I believe, where the KFC is. So those we have approved as third party. This would, this is a digital sign which all come before council, but on Main Street or in our central business district, we don't have any approval at this point where it would allow third-party advertising. So by approving this, we actually would allow that as well. So that does change, and that does set precedent, I believe, moving forward. But I will vote in favor of the motion.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councillor Penner.
Yes, I concur with some of Councillor Siemens' comments, particularly in the fact that this does set a new precedent for us in the central business district. It will mean that others will come to us again for more digital signage in the CBD, and we have to think about how we want the CBD to look. What will the future of that be? Will it be a lot of animated signs or digital signs, or what will it look like? I think now's the time for council to consider those types of things, because this is a precedent and we are setting a precedent. So I will not vote in favor of the motion.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will be voting in favor of the motion. I think that we need to recognize the reality that advertising is how businesses let people know about their services. That is how it happens. And the way in which advertising takes place does change. And digital signs are a standard way of advertising nowadays that obviously didn't exist a number of years ago. As far as the fact that it's going to have third-party advertising, I mean, in theory, yes, it potentially could, and so could there be third-party advertising with other forms of advertising in terms of regular signs and such. So I don't really see this being a fundamental shift to our downtown, other than the fact that we're allowing advertising to continue in the way that it does now in the 21st century. That is the reality. I don't think there's anything terribly unusual about having digital advertising on a main street in the third largest city in the province. So I don't have any problem supporting the motion.
Thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Workington, I have a question in regards to the form of lighting and the intensity of the light. And we, just for clarification for all of council and also the applicant that is here still, what are the rules in regards to the intensity of that lighting during day and during night? Because they are different, is what I understand. I'm sorry, I'm making you pull out the binder, but...
You made me pull out my binder. I can provide details if you can bear with me for a moment, and perhaps Mr. Rempel would have a better practical understanding of what is referred to as the number of nits. That is how it is worded within the city zoning bylaw, but there is specific requirements for both the maximum daytime illumination and nighttime illumination. I can find specifics if you'd wish.
Okay. I don't need the specifics, I just want that to be clear.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, council, anything in closing? Oh, sorry, anything in closing? Forgot.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I think that we're in an age where, like people do advertising, people are all looking for better ways to spend their advertising dollar. I think we're going to see more and more of these kind of situations come up. And I don't think it would be fair for us to differentiate from people that are on Main Street versus people that are on Brant Road or one of those other areas. So I think that's perfectly fine to have whatever you choose to advertise somebody else's business. That's his choice.
Thank you. Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right, we will now move to the delegation, and that is the Steinbach Arts Council. Council, we did have some brief discussions earlier in the season in regards to a major project that they're looking at, and we are now have invited them to come speak to us about that project and tell us what they envision for their center. So welcome here.
Thank you. Mayor Gertson and City Councillors, in the absence of our chairperson, Mr. Graham Pollock, and as the incoming vice chair, I'm pleased to represent the board of the Steinbach Arts Council here today. My name is Audrey Barkman-Hill. My name may not be well known to you, so I'm going to do something that many people do well in Steinbach, and that's connect you to my Steinbach roots, if you will indulge me, please. My father was John K. Barkman, one of the founding members of the Fly-In Golf Course, and also he was in business with A.D. Penner, who used to sit in your seat, I believe, Mr. Mayor, in a road construction company known here in Manitoba as Penner's Construction and in Saskatchewan as Case Construction. My mother is Mary Barkman. She was at one time the assistant editor of the Carolyn News. She was honored at the official opening of the JCAP Library as the founder of the public library here in Steinbach. She was the person who organized and motivated a small group of volunteers who are known as the Friends of the Library, who worked to win a referendum that launched what I hear is now the most well-used public library in rural Manitoba. So we're proud of that. I lived in Steinbach for the first 20 years of my life, then I married a young man from Winnipeg. We moved to Alberta, where we pursued our careers and raised a family, and 7 years ago we moved back here, where he's retired, and I commute from Steinbach to teach part-time teaching literature at the University of Winnipeg. So I'm here on the Steinbach Arts Council board in what I think is a time of life when I can give back to the community that first stirred in me interest in education and in the arts. So what we're here to talk to you about is our goals, plans, and hopes for a capital improvement project. Early this summer, we received word from the Co-op Community Spaces grant initiative that we had been awarded a $65,000 grant to pursue a capital improvement project that will bring renewal and long-lasting improvement to this community. So today we are here specifically to describe the concept and plans we have for this project and to ask you, our City Council, for $65,000 as matching funds and to answer any questions that you might have of us. We listened with interest to your discussion at your last council meeting, and we'd like to thank you for the acknowledgement that we heard that you are responsible for upgrading the building that the Arts Council leases from you, and so maintaining what has been and will continue to be a valuable city asset. So here's our plan. Our plan is to make our current facility a safe, attractive, invitational space for creative endeavors. Our first goal is to refurbish the exterior of our building, so we propose new signage and large murals that are movable, created by local artists to announce the creative nature of our organization through the appearance of our physical site. We also envision an outdoor creative learning space that's open for public use, a hands-on creative learning environment that caters to all children, including those with special needs. So for that creative center, there will not be traditional play structures, but activity-based centers. I'll give you one example. For example, an area with giant interlocking blocks where children can change the structure and they could build forts or walls or any type of imaginative play area. Indoors, we would like to enlarge and upgrade the front entrance, and the art gallery space, again with the goal of providing a safe, attractive, invitational, and creative space. So this means, in effect, moving some closets that crowd the front entrance. It means that we would like to paint some walls, change the flooring and the lighting. We'd like to install an electronic screen, again, to display artworks and for SAC announcements. And we'd like to improve the restrooms, the stairs, and the hallways. And these are improvements that have been needed and talked about for quite a few years, and probably we might say they are the most significant and necessary renovations that this project will encompass. Specifically, that means we would like to install new toilets and sinks. We'd like to replace worn flooring and the ripped and therefore unsafe stair and hallway carpets. Our plan also calls to refurbish the kitchen, not only to support the culinary programs that we have, but also to earn more revenue through rentals. And I know that there are notes attached or listed on your handout that you received before the meeting as to these plans. As members of the Steinbach Arts Council Board, we very much appreciate the support we receive from you, our City Council, and from the larger community. And we know that through sponsorship, donations, and the work of volunteers and local artists, we will be able to leverage the monies received from the Community Spaces grants and from you as we work toward the completion of this project. You know, I'm sure you've heard these numbers before, that Steinbach Arts Council programming brings approximately 1,000 community members through the doors on 2nd Street and into our programs every week. And that brick building on 2nd Street has been our home for many years. Yet even before we used this building, it housed many significant community initiatives. And it has been used, we know, as a school, a library, 55-plus senior center, a social services office, community self-help center, community college, and of course now it is our cultural arts center. And again, I know I'm asking for your indulgence, but like you, I have a personal history with the building, and I'm sure many residents in Steinbach can say the same. So I attended junior high school in that building. I helped my mother Saturday mornings with the new library collection in the building. As a university student, I was a activity leader in the Opportunities for Youth initiative many years back. Now you know exactly how old I am. As an adult, I attended shows in which my own grandchildren performed. I've taken arts classes that I've enjoyed for myself. I've attended concerts, and I'm a board member, all within the same building. So the capital improvement project we are seeking to complete will breathe new life into the organizational home that we now have and give us, we hope, a new creative edge. It will also maintain an important asset for the city, improving a building that has not only played an important role in community development for many years, but is sure to do so in many years to come. The Co-op Community Spaces Grant offers assistance for upgrading existing facilities, for adding space and equipment, and for creatively enhancing what we already have. So that's the purpose of that grant. And all of us, I think, in this room are aware of the upgrades to the common areas of this building that have been needed for a while. Upgrades which have been needed and which, as a city asset, a building that is a city asset, are also the responsibility of the city. So as Steinbach Arts Council board members, we think we now have the opportunity to take funds which we have sought out, matched by city funds, to complete the necessary upgrades to this important building and to creatively enhance that particular spot. And we hope you agree with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There may be some questions for you.
And you know, that's what I ought to say. We have 5 or 6 board members here and our Chief Creative Officer, and they will certainly help me with any questions that
Very
you
good.
might have of me.
All right, thank you. First of all, I just want to commend you. That was very clear and concise, and obviously there's a vision. There might be some questions from council, but I have the first question, and that is, seems pretty aggressive, and this seems like a lot of, and it encompasses a lot, exterior and interior. I would suspect it might even be more than the 65 and matching 65. Are you expecting also to have some private funds?
Absolutely, and if I didn't so mention, with the great support we have in the community, there are sponsorships, there's donations, there's a volunteer work, and we hope to leverage the monies we have from the grant and hopefully from you as well, and so join those funds with the rest to help complete the project.
Very good, thank you. Questions? Councillor Siemens.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Question regarding the co-op. By the way, I'm in favor of all that the organization does and what you have done for the community. And I'm very pleased the fact that you were able to attain a $65,000 grant through the co-op. Can you speak to that grant? What are the parameters around that grant? Is it a cost share grant? Is it a straight outright donation that you're going to get a check at a certain point? Do you have to qualify it?
Would you?
So if you're going to speak, you'll have to come to the podium, please. And even for you,
My
we
name
have...
is Cindy
Thank you.
Patrick, and I'm the Chief Creative Officer of the Steinbach Arts Council.
Thank you.
In response to that, the Co-op Community Spaces Grant is a grant that is not, are you asking if we have to have matching funds to complete that project?
The parameters around that grant, is it just a straight check that you get? Or?
Oh, yes, yes, absolutely. The funding, they gave us a check for $65,000 and they say, here's your grant to do your project. So we projected a project that needed more than $65,000, and we were asking, that was where the matching funds of $65,000 from the city comes from. There's $20,000 of private money that the Arts Council was planning to raise, as well as about $25,000 in donated goods and services that would come our way from the Arts Council. So in essence, we're at a almost $90,000 project.
Very good, thank you. Other questions? Councillor Fair?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, through you. So the $65,000 grant was not necessarily stipulated to be a matching grant by co-op. It's just something that...
It's not stipulated that you have to have matching funds. However, without matching funds, you cannot complete the project that you've presented. They liked our project. There was 792 applications in Canada. There were 24 chosen, and we were one of them. And they liked our project. And they go back, it was pretty extensive of how capable are we of raising the extra funding. We already raised over $300,000 for our operating costs to come to a balanced budget. And so we only put in $20,000 of cash and $25,000 of donated goods and services as our contribution. But because they included renovations and upgrades that we have so longingly, that's not even a word, waited for at the center, that need our functional upgrades. We thought this would be a good opportunity to take that money and see, get private money and get donated money and your money, and we can do the whole project. So that's how it comes around.
You see, that was an ask for your specific money, Mr. Fair, eh? Councillor Penn.
Question through you, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Is there a time frame where this money needs to be spent? Does it need to be spent in the next year? Can it wait 5 years? Is there a time frame for that?
The required requirements say that within 2 years they like the project to be completed. However, we already indicated to them, we asked, what if we need an extension on that? And as long as they can see that we're progressing and continuing with as we are right now, sourcing out the plans, getting better estimates, and getting our ducks in a row, basically, as long as they can see that progress, you could ask for an extension. But 2 years is normally the time frame.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Councillor Penner, you would like to speak.
Yes, I attempted this in June, and now that the Arts Council has presented formally, I'm going to attempt to make a motion here that will pass tonight. Whereas the Steinbach Arts Centre is located in an older building that is owned by the City of Steinbach, whereas the Steinbach Arts Centre received a $65,000 grant from the Clear Up Co-op Community Spaces Program, whereas the City of Steinbach would like recreation and culture capital projects to be done with both public funds and private funds, therefore be it resolved that the City of Steinbach match the $65,000 Co-op Community Spaces grant for the Steinbach Arts Centre for the purpose of building improvements. Be it further resolved that the funds for these upgrades come from the Recreation and Culture Reserve.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Penner. Go ahead.
Thank you. For the past 7.5 years, we as a council have discussed the importance of recreation and culture projects having support from both private and public funding sources. But the thing is, in the past 7.5 years, we have not actually engaged or proceeded with any project of this nature. The options we have had for other potential projects have been too large in scope for our city. But now before us, we have the opportunity to proceed with a project that is desperately needed and well within our capacity. The Steinbach Arts Centre is in urgent need of facility upgrades. The Arts Council has repeatedly told us this during the numerous times they have presented to us over the years. Part of the challenge has been that the centre's need for improvement has been overshadowed by the Performing Arts Centre debate and discussion on what that project would have meant for day-to-day programming space. However, even if an opportunity for a facility upgrade becomes available in the not-too-distant future, it could still very well take years for it to actually happen. And the Arts Centre building is at the point where it cannot wait any longer. Whatever upgrades are done now would still be well worth it. We have the perfect opportunity now to give a grant that is for capital and can be used in tandem with a private grant for much-needed improvements to the Arts Centre building. For these reasons, I ask that you support the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Penner.
Yes, Councillor Penner's comments, I would echo those sentiments as well. I think here we have a golden opportunity to match those funds that they have applied for, to give much needed assistance to their building and to their efforts in bringing the community together with the art and cultural significance that they do. So anyone who's walked in there in the last 5 years can see that there is a great need for these upgrades. There's no doubt in my mind. And I remember actually now thinking back, and please allow me because this is my last term, but when they did move in there, I was one of the advocates for the Arts Council to move into that building and have an established presence in the community. So this is a good thing. They are so good for our community. We are so lucky to have them.
Thank you. Further discussion. Councillor Swagstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Please forgive me. I hope it's not my last term. I will, when the motion was initially presented a few months ago, I think we all agreed that the intent behind it was good. There were some of us, and myself included, that had raised some questions just in terms of what is this money going towards? Has the Arts Council specifically requested this grant? Would this be improving the building? I think those are important questions. Those questions have been answered to my satisfaction tonight. I think we've heard very clearly that that this is an opportunity to improve the building, and that building is a city-owned building. And so by making these improvements, we're improving an asset that is the city's. And we're also providing support to some important capital improvements to an organization that serves the city of Steinbach very well. And so, having heard the Arts Council presentation here today, stating very clearly what this is intended to be used for, also seeing very clearly that this will improve a city asset, I think it makes sense to approve this this grant, so that way we can improve the city building. So I'll vote in favor.
Thank you. Further discussion. Councillor Fair.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just have a question. I think there was another component to the motion that we had heard in June. But where the money was coming from, is that going to be specified here?
To clarify the motion, from what I understand, the motion actually says that it does come from the rec reserve.
Okay, so it does.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate especially a couple of the components of this proposal, like that special needs are going to be met there as well. And I also like the fact that some of these things are going to be able to be moved if they need to be. And we hope that soon we might be able to accomplish that as well. I wish that we could address this in a little bit more appropriate way by the city taking ownership of the facility and doing the upgrades without, having it end up on our table here in matching funds. I think this is just something that should have been done without all the pomp that we've seen now. And so that's my opinion. But I will support the motion, although I think we could have done better on this.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Councillor Siemens.
Just that I also support the motion. I've always supported the culture and heritage aspect of our community, and the arts has been very important, continues to be. This is a good time for us to be part of it, like has already been mentioned, and it does add much value to our community and to a city-owned building. It is, as Councillor Fair alluded to, it is a city-owned building. We do have a responsibility to the physical facility that does exist there.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councillor Funk.
Yes, thank you through to Mr. Mayor. I supported this motion in June. I'll support it again now at this time. Words just don't say it all. There's not enough words. The words don't say it right for what arts does for our community. So I think I'll stop talking and let's just go with it.
All right, thank you. Anything in closing?
Well, second time's a charm, I guess, in this situation, so I'm very pleased that this will pass. We're all very proud of the Steinbach Arts Center, or Steinbach Arts Council, and what they do for community. And hopefully now, with the upgrades done to the building, that will indicate our pride in the building, in our arts group. Because up until this point, when we walk into the building, it is really dilapidated, and it doesn't reflect well on what they are all actually doing for the community. So I'm very happy that this motion will be supported, and hopefully we can all be proud of it once it's done.
Thank you. Well, Council, it's been a while since we agreed on something with the arts. And second, believe me, Councillor Penner, second time is not a charm all the time, and that we've experienced too. But I have to tell you this, that number one, we as a council have said that we want to see recreation and cultural facilities renewed. And we've talked about that in big forms and in small forms. And we have been able to certainly accomplish some of those things as a group, not all of them. But I think when it comes to the Arts Centre and the day-to-day of what they go through, they're seeing so many people go through that facility, it is important to support the many volunteer hours, the many private dollars that are going in there, and now we see a matching grant coming from, I think, Federated Co-op, if I'm right. This is a good project. It's not the end project that we necessarily want to be at as a city, but it's an important project, and that's why we want to support it. Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right. We have no other business. Council, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Council question period.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to skip council question period. Are there any? I can just leave and turn my lights off. All right. We do have a few more. Sorry, I put a few marks on the agenda that shouldn't have been there. Let's move to council question period. Any questions of council? Seeing none, we'll move now to correspondence. 11A, the Minister of Municipal Relations in regards to our operating grant. This is on page 33. Mr. Workentine, is there anything to add besides the information that's provided?
Nothing to add, but I would like to highlight there is one paragraph. It starts at the bottom of page 33 and continues on the top of page 34. And the letter in summary does relate, or at least it does reference the Municipal Road and Bridge Program that did result in some decreased funding in the current year. And my understanding is that this Municipal Road Improvement Fund will be transitioned into other general infrastructure funding. Just wanted to make sure that Council was aware of that.
Right. And to further clarify, Council and administration will correct me if I'm wrong, we were receiving in the last number of years about $400,000 through this municipal road improvement program. It's been a very good program. Across the province, it's been defended and praised, and now we're seeing it, it was going to be at zero, and we eked out $2.25 million across the province instead of $7 million. And obviously, this is seen as a transition program, transitioning into a program that has $0. And so I think that is a concern for us. We saw how simple and straightforward it was, and I think we just want to be aware that that is occurring, and we can't expect these dollars to continue. So just as your information. There has been a lot of work extensively done municipally, province-wide on this. And we had a small win this year, and obviously at the AMM convention that I'm sure all of you will be attending if you so choose to be on council, we'll actually have a fair amount of, there's an emergency resolution, as well as there'll be a number of other aspects pushing to see this program reinstated. Take that as information. Any questions? All right, we will now move to, there is no other business, then we will have a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Fair. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.